The following is a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. The date is February 15th, 2021, and the subject is the emotional aspect of the sacral chakra in the sign of Aquarius. Me. Probably the soul aspect of the water trinity is one of the most stereotyped signs of all. Renowned obscurantists, living in the shadows, incarnate rancor, the most elaborate passions, almost demonic symbols for the rest of the signs, who reflect all our fears and rejoice in them. Its waters are dark, muddy, and full of creatures that can devour us at the slightest carelessness. I am, and yet they are the only waters where the lotus is capable of being born, flourishing, and radiating the spiritual symbol of the crown chakra. This is how the sacral chakra, with its shadows and its densities, nourishes the most beautiful of the lights of consciousness. Me. This is why Scorpios are considered spiritual beings by nature. But why then do they have the characteristic of shadows if it is precisely what beings who seek to become enlightened try to avoid? I am. Because you said it yourself. Whoever seeks to become enlightened does not want to confront him. The one who illuminates is the one who accepts him in himself. Remember, Cancer is conditional love, the one that limits itself, the one that protects, the one that carries the weight. It is the body on which the experience of love deposits all its emotions and intentions. When Cancer seeks to free himself from this conditioning, he begins to search for unconditionality, seeks to leave the weight of life to transcend spiritually, and elevates the concept of family and group to the spiritual family and philosophies or religions. Thus he finds love for something greater, for service to everything, to God, to the cosmos, to the earth, and considers all humans as his family. He continues to suffer the sorrow of the human wanting to free him from his conditions. So, while Cancer discovers that he is part of a much larger family, Pisces tries to teach him not to condition others with his ideals and expectations, that it is not necessary to suffer to be of service, that one must dare to dream. This is how humanity, based on clans and families, he seeks to transcend to the universal, considering that Pisces is that idyllic, utopian purpose of illumination through unconditional love, expanded. And from a corner, in the shadows, sitting contemplating how the two spiritual and physical aspects of him play to save the few or the many with love, Scorpio smiles with a superior look, enjoying each stumble of his brothers with a tone of sarcasm. Me. Why? That is what tends to bother many spiritual people. I am. Because Pisces is a dream, and Cancer is a dream lover. They live on expectations, while Scorpio shows them the harsh reality. Scorpio reminds them that they cannot live on a dream, and that in order to reach unconditionality, it is necessary to eliminate the conditions, and that hurts. Scorpio is the one who puts his finger on the wound, who squeezes the wound to the one who denies, remembering that he possesses it. Cancer is the one who has been hurt by his effort and looks at Pisces saying, "Everything will be fine, nothing happens." That's when Scorpio squeezes the wound, making Cancer cry, reminding him, "You won't get very far if you don't heal this wound that you deny." Scorpio shows the shadows, and for this reason it is the month that follows Libra, since he is the one who remembers that not everything is beautiful, not everything is in balance, and that the only way to find balance is if instead of covering everything we don't like with colored mirrors and garlands, we start to review the garbage that we have hidden and take responsibility for it. Scorpio remembers, has a memory, is spiteful, because he knows that you have accumulated many things throughout the year that need to be cleaned up before continuing. Me. How does Scorpio become a constellation? I am. Mid-autumn has arrived in the Northern Hemisphere. Time to make the products, the reserves for the winter, to manufacture the products that will help survive the cold. And with that comes the time for the clearing of the fields. The woods, the stubble, the fallen leaves of the trees cover a large part of the terrain. Everything dies in this month, everything falls. Its goal is renewal, revival, but even so you can't see the goal or purpose. But what happens? The trees drop their leaves and cover the ground. Insects, vermin live under them. They cover everything. The wood begins to be split to have wood for the bonfire inside the house, the fireplace. But you have to be careful when picking them up. Me, why? I am. Because in the humidity of the wood, under the leaves and bark, scorpions hide, which can lead to the death of whoever receives their sting. Scorpio comes from the Indo-European sker, which means to cut. It refers to the edge of a knife, or to the ancient weapons used to throw arrows and rocks against walls, cutting, breaking to cross. The form of the arachnid is what gave it its current name. In Greek mythology, it is said that the scorpion was placed in heaven by Zeus, who separated it as far as he could from the giant Orion, whom this animal killed on Hera's command. Despite the fact that they both died, God the Father placed them far away in the celestial vault so that the scorpion could not harm them. Actually, the exact opposite of Scorpio is Taurus, so you can understand that the task of the scorpion is to bother the firm step of the bull, who can be poisoned by this animal in the fields, taking it out of his comfort zone. Me. That is why this sign has the negative, dark image of waiting under the leaves, hidden in the shadows, with a devilish smile, watching the other signs make mistakes looking for the light. I am. Scorpio is the deepest aspect of the soul, where all the things you don't want to see are kept. In order to transcend, free oneself from the conditions and patterns of matter, this archetype reminds us that it is essential to see inside, to oneself, to remember all the traumas, all the ills, our own garbage and what we have accepted from others. He is the one who helps us see our shadows and to recognize that we are the ones who have projected them. Scorpio is the best path to the spirit, since it seeks to bring clarity to the shadows. It seeks to transcend itself, to know itself. The spirit does not seek the light, for it is already the light. Thus, the spirit seeks to experience itself, and the only way it can do so is by being born. For this reason, Scorpio is the sexual spirit, the one that descends to the lower passions, the one that shows the light the way to matter, the one that reminds you that there, in the mud and dirt, are the nutrients to take root and rise high. It will flourish and bear fruit not because of its ability to seek light, but because of its ability to penetrate cracks in the soil, feeding on the nutrients in the mud. The leaves that fall and seem to die in this slow death of the trees becomes the most powerful wealth of the soil to flourish in a new cycle. Who sees sadness and death in autumn does not know that the flowers of spring and the fruits of summer only exist because of what has died and nourished the roots of the plants. Whoever denies the serpent and the scorpion out of fear is unaware that medicine arises from their poisons. The tree that has died gives fire and heat for the harsh winters. The slaughtered animal feeds the entire family. Sleep is what forces you to wake up. Only the shadows allow you to recognize the light. Me, the only way to light is darkness, not taken as evil, but as nutrients, as experience, as what makes us strong. Scorpio is the medicine of the soul, the one that, if we don't want to see, Recognize, if we deny, it becomes our worst poison. I am. Water can give you life in a sip or drown you in a flood. The human comes from the mud, but if you don't know how to walk in it, you can sink and never be able to get out. Scorpio reminds you that you are the generator of your own traps, that the denial of your passions, of your own vital energies, of your own shadows, does nothing but bury you deeper in reverie. No matter how close you think you are to the light, it will be nothing more than an illusion that will end up becoming a nightmare. Me. It is essential to face the shadows in order to be free. I am. There lies the key to this archetype, as a tool to enter the age of Aquarius, a time of dispersion, of networks, of individualism, of constant transformation and innovation. You must take into account that, so that your novelties do not become more repetitive Libran decorations, making us fall into doubts or in the Taurian comfort of always arriving in the same. It will be necessary to get out of comfort, to face the shadows. Me, the dark night of the soul. I am. Anyone who is looking for the light must go through the night, because the dawn only finds its contrast in the shadows, and the stars can only be seen in the dark space. It is key to uncover the hidden, to create the new. Me. Otherwise we only change the superficial. Like when we talk about social systems, we only change forms, but not the essence. That's why we make the same mistakes. I am. And not only socially, but also family and personal. How many times have you wanted to change clothes, attitudes, work, partner, family, country? And how many times have you seen that no matter how many changes you have made in your lives, they repeat themselves? Same conflict in a different color. Me. I know. It's happened to me. A lot. But the process becoming much shorter when I dare to see my shadow, my own ills. I am. Scorpio will not hesitate to poke you where it hurts if you dare to make a bad move. We all carry Scorpio inside. It is an archetype, which some have very awake and others hide while asleep. Well, you have been taught to hide the shadows, which is not culturally or politically accepted. In the need to be correct, you have drowned your desires, turning them into tumors. You have imprisoned your shadows, stopping them and turning them into diseases. And when the symptoms begin to emerge, you blame the external. You blame Scorpio for showing you the problem. Me, when we must honor that shadow that reminds us of what we have done to ourselves. I am. The Trinity of water remembers that there is a limited body that has designed a home for its patrons, that there is a free spirit capable of being at the service of the divine and magical, of living the dream of possibilities. But both come together in the aspect of the deep soul, which will always remind you that spiritual service is only applicable as long as the home has the will to transform itself, healing its own past, its shadows. Me. Shadows are my nutrients. I am sacred. There where the nutrients are absorbed in the intestine, where the shit, the garbage, the useless is discarded, leaving only the essentials that nourish the body. It is the same center that generates the energy for creation. Me. Excitement. I am. There arises the emotion, source of movement, life, and transformation from the deep and dirty waters. The nutrients are hidden there, giving life to what you wanted to hide or what you wanted to get rid of. Emotion is not your enemy. Passions are not your downfall. They are the source and engine of your energy. You just have to learn to consume them correctly, and the shadows will teach you how. Thus, when you must transform yourself in this Aquarian era, you will be able to be free from the ties of your low passions, and you will use them as the basis for the new planting. Me. I am emotional food. I am. Feed on the emotions you hide, and from your densest mud the most beautiful lotuses will bloom.